States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First thing I'd like to do is introduce and welcome Allison Bennett, our new parent coordinator. Who's here with us tonight. Welcome, Allison. And then the minutes we have from our last meeting. So we just like to motion to accept the minutes. Your name? And a second? Just your name. You. And the treasurer's report? Jean Marie, where are you? Come
on down. Okay. Again, a shout out for bank interest. Very nice. $1.12 in bank interest. Raffles. Deposits from the installation dinner, different fundraisers, paint night, the penny auction did very well. And we wrote out incentive awards for the underclassmen and for the scholars luncheon. Okay, can I have a motion to accept?
What's her name?
Maribel Tabiter. In a second? Thank you.
Did everyone sign the book? Everyone signed in this evening?
I have 18 people. I counted the 16 people.
There's two guests. Oh. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to hold elections this evening. So our nominating committee is going to take over from here.
Thank you, John.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So Laura and I are happy to hold the elections tonight. We are going to open up nominations one last time from the floor. So I'd like to know, so first of all, we have Janice Font and Kim Lapari running for co-presidents. So if they would just wave or stand. So I'd like to know, are there any nominations from the floor for PTA president or co-president? Any nominations from the floor for PTA president or co-president? Are there any nominations from the floor for PTA president or co-president? Nominations for PTA president or co-presidents are now closed.
Yay.
Our treasurer, we have Jean Marie Iandolo, who is our current treasurer, and she's running again. So I'd like to know, are there any nominations from the floor for treasurer? Any nominations from the floor for treasurer? Are there any nominations from the floor for treasurer? Nominations for treasurer are now closed. Recording secretary, Denise Militano is on the slate. There's Denise. Do we have any nominations from the floor for recording secretary? Any nominations from the floor for recording secretary? Any nominations from the floor for recording secretary? Nominations for recording secretary are now closed. Lillian Cipoletti is on the slate for first VP. Are there any nominations from the floor for first VP? Any nominations from the floor for first VP? Are there any nominations from the floor for first VP? Nominations for first VP are now closed. Second VP, we have Natalie Jasso. On the slate. Are there any nominations for second VP? Any nominations from the floor? Sorry, I have to say it the right way. Any nominations from the floor for second VP? Are there any nominations from the floor for second VP? Nominations for second vice president are now closed. And last but not least, we have corresponding secretary, Liz D'Ambrosio.
So that,
There's Liz. Are there any nominations from the floor for corresponding secretary? Are there any nominations from the floor for corresponding secretary? Any nominations from the floor for corresponding secretary? Nominations for corresponding secretary are now closed.
I, Julie Larson, recording secretary of New York High School PTA, cast the last vote to close the slate for the 18-19 school year. Congratulations.
Before I turn the time over to
wait.
Jen,
She's gonna do it. She's
Yeah.
gonna do it.
I just wanted to say something. This is my last year. I'm very emotional. I have truly loved being here at New York and working with the PTA. You women and men are all wonderful. I am so incredibly grateful for the executive board that I've had and all the help that they've given to me and to the school, and I will truly miss it. I wish all of you the very, very best, and with all my heart, I love you all. And that's it.
I'd also just like to add my personal touch and thanks to Michelle. I've known Michelle since we're about this high. We grew up together, so she has been wonderful. She has shown all of us the ropes. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't know a thing. And I don't know what.
And I'm always here.
I know that, but
I
I don't
don't live
know.
far.
I don't know what we're gonna do without her next year. But she has given her time, her talent. She is everything a PTA president on the board should be. I only hope that the rest of us can kind of really follow in her footsteps and do for New York what she has done.
You will.
Shoes to fill.
Thank you.
Size 10.
So we put the PTA meeting schedule in for approval. As soon as it's approved, it'll get mailed over the summer. We need help for concession for rent tomorrow night, correct? If anyone can help, we'll be here at 6 o'clock so that we can help out with the concession stand. Tuesday, June 12th is the freshman orientation at 6:30, so we need volunteers for that.
At 6.
At 6 we need them?
Yeah.
Well, we need
yeah.
one or two.
You only need like one or two, so if you're available that night, you can come at 6:30, it's fine.
Just let us know if you're interested.
What is it? It is June 12th, it's a Tuesday. For freshman orientation, yes. And then the installation dinner is June 20th, and it's, what is it, $40 a person?
Yes, $40.
$40 a person. Yes.
We have so much fun, so if you want to come, it's really a good, fun night.
Anybody can come, it's $40 a person, it's at, and it starts at 7. It's at Nini's Cafe, which is right down the block.
The food is delicious.
Yeah, we get salad, we get a pasta, we get a choice. So the food is very, very good. So the information's right here. If anybody wants to come, just let us know and you can write out a check and we'll gladly take your money. And we have
Michelle.
Michelle. Where's Michelle? Ah, here she is. Michelle's going to talk to us for 2 minutes about Touchstone Touch. If I could speak English, I would be good. Touchstone Jewelry.
Thank you. Yes. Face the camera.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle DeNoble. I am a senior director with Touchstone Crystal by Swarovski. I've been with Touchstone for almost 4 years now, and I'm super excited to let you know that Touchstone Crystal is Swarovski's new home division. Okay, so we are owned and operated by an amazing company who's been in business for over 120 years. We are a staple on the red carpet, so everyone knows our crystals. It's pretty much a household name. I'm super excited because I'm an alumni of New York. I graduated in this very school in 1984, so I'm really excited. I'm a good friend of Lillian's, and Lillian is a Touchstone addict. Okay, so we were talking, and I've done a few parties for Lillian, and I know she loves the jewelry. And I said, listen, why don't we do something for the school? Because I love to give back. Fundraising is one of the number one things I love to do because Touchstone has been very good to me and my family, and I like to give back in any way I can. So we put together a little fundraiser. I believe we started it in the middle of March, and I'm keeping it open until May 31st for you guys. I believe we have a little over 400 in sales already, which I'm hoping to get that number a lot higher. And I am willing to give back, my commission back to the school, and you can choose to do whatever you want with that. So with that being said, the table's right over there. Again, there's a party link that I believe that was posted.
It's posted on Facebook. Allison emailed it today to the staff also. And
Please feel free to share that with anyone. They don't have to go to the school to participate. You can have family that's in Dallas. You can have family that's in Florida. Someone always needs a gift, no matter what. They like to pamper themselves. Communions. We're just finishing up, but believe it or not, there are still plenty of people that are having parties at the end of the month. Proms, graduations. This is a perfect time to get some gifts. So that link is going to be open. And if anybody just has any questions or would rather call me and have me place the order for you, I have no problem doing that. Okay, ladies? So thank you.
Thank you. And you'll stay a little bit after.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest speaker is Joanne Waglione. And Lisa. Lisa, come.
Welcome.
Thank you for
Welcome.
having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me with you at your meeting today. I know it's a busy time of year with school, you can see the end in sight and all that sort of stuff. My name is Dr. Lisa Sloan, and I'm the program director at the Pride Center of Staten Island. The Pride Center is Staten Island's LGBT community center. And Joanne partners with us through an organization called PFLAG. And so when Joanne got an appointment with you all here, she said, why don't you come on down? If I may, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk about the Pride Center of Staten Island to you, okay? I'll start with Pride. A lot of people, when they think of gay pride, they think of a big parade in Manhattan, right? But Staten Island actually has its very own Pride Fest celebrations. We're in the middle of them as we speak right now. So this evening at the Pride Center, we're having a sober social. But really, an event that I want to draw your attention to is on this coming Saturday at Snug Harbor, we're having our Pride Fest Festival at Snug Harbor. So it's from 12 to 5. The forecast is for rain right now, but we're a rain or shine kind of affair. So I'll be there with my umbrella. We have a stage show, we have different vendors and also different community organizations and city services that will be there. So you can get hooked up with some resources, or you could do a little shopping, or whatever takes your fancy. And then something that happened last week that I'd like to draw your attention to for next year is annually we have an LGBTQ youth prom. A lot of LGBTQ young people don't necessarily feel safe to take the date that they would like to their school prom, as supportive an environment as this might be. And I know this school in particular has a vibrant gender sexuality alliance, so that's great. Or sometimes students don't always feel great wearing the clothes that they want to wear to their prom. So we have an LGBTQ youth prom every year. This year we had it at the Greenbelt Nature Center over on Rockland and Briel, and that was really lovely. So I think we'll have it again there next year. And we had about 50 students participate. They came, they ate, they danced. It was a really lovely evening. So that's, if you know a student who would be right for that event, please be on the lookout for it next year. But let me also talk to you a little bit about the different programs of the Pride Center of Staten Island. So we have a youth drop-in program on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. I should also point out, as I'm going into my talk here, that we are an LGBT center, but you don't have to be LGBT to come and participate with us, all right? So we have a youth drop-in program on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, and we bring in sometimes outside partners to help us create programming. So for instance, the New York City Yoga Project comes to us on a regular basis to do yoga sessions. We do poetry workshops and art workshops and things like that. In a couple of weeks, we're taking a field trip to the Sri Lankan Museum of Art, which is right here on Staten Island. So we do a lot of cool things with our kids. We also have a program called Girl Power. Girl Power is a leadership group for LGBTQ and allied young women and trans and gender nonconforming young people between the ages of 13 and 24. All right. And there's a second component to Girl Power. We call it the Saturday Skills Series. It happens twice a year. All right. And we focus on, it's kind of like an adulting 101. So we talk about financial literacy, we talk about job or higher education readiness, we talk about body image and sexual health. And students who complete that series get a $100 stipend, and we also feed them lunch whenever they come to us on a Saturday. All right. So that's a program that I'm really proud of. It's my baby at the center. We also have support groups for transgender and gender nonconforming young people. We have two groups. We have a group for young folks ages 13 to 19, and then another group for people age 19 all the way into adulthood. And then we also have free counseling services on site for LGBTQ people and their families. All right, so that's a good resource to know about. Tommy is our counseling services manager, and he really does phenomenal work. We also have senior programming and lots of other kinds of things going on at the center, but I know you have a lot to get through in your meeting, so I figured since you are parents that we'd focus on our youth program. I brought along a program guide that I put out on the table over there, and also some postcards about Pride Fest if that's of interest to you. I should also pause for a moment. I've been saying the words LGBTQ a lot, or the letters. Do people have an awareness of what that means?
No.
No? Okay. So LGBTQ, I'm glad you said that. LGBTQ, I'm talking about the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. All right? The Q is complicated. I'm so glad you asked. I see the face. I see, what's the Q? Sometimes the Q stands for questioning. By questioning, I mean someone who's not sure about their sexual orientation or gender identity. It's usually a placeholder that we assign to young people. But I would point out it is never too late to question your gender identity or sexual orientation. We had someone, senior at the center, come out as transgender at the age of 63. So it's never too late. All right. And then the Q also sometimes stands for queer. All right. This word is a little more complicated. It has a complicated history. It has always kind of meant bent. If you go far enough back in its etymology, it means bent. Right. Around World War II in the United States, it began to take on this connotation of different because of one's sexual orientation or gender identity, and usually devalued because of that difference. So a lot of the seniors that I work with at the center, a lot of our aging population remembers this term as a shaming term, and they have a great deal of discomfort with it. I will also point out that in the late 1980s, early 1990s, a group of activists who had begun initially getting together to fight HIV and AIDS began to take back this word, began to say, hey, if I use this word queer, if I own it, if I use it to describe myself, other people can't use it to shame me. So if you've ever heard the chant, we're here, we're queer, get used to it, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The activist group was called Queer Nation. Also now in universities, we can study things like queer theory, right? So the relationship to this word has changed over time dramatically, all right? So that's a really great question. I would say in your social life, to lead with the phrase LGBTQ and to mirror the language that the people around you are using. And that'll give you a sense of if the people you're associating with are comfortable with the word queer or not, because it's tricky in that way, all right? Does anyone else have other questions? All right, I hope to see you at Pride Fest on Saturday, and I hope to see you or your young people around the center. All right, know that we're here for you. If you have any questions about what I've just said or anything else, our phone number is on the sheet at the end table. Yes?
Is there a list of events on your website?
There is a list of events on our website, and there's information again about our regular programming, that sort of thing. Thank you.
On the website next door, so something like
Yeah, we're always doing a lot. So I know that we're over, we're directly across from the Tompkinsville train station. I know that may seem far, but if you can get onto the train, you can get to the Pride Center of Staten Island. All right. Thank you again for sharing your time with me this evening, and I will now turn it over to Joanne. All right.
Hi, my name is Joanne Waglione. Thank you for having us, and congratulations to all the new.
Thank you.
So I represent one of the representatives of PFLAG. So while we're giving all these acronyms, does anybody know what PFLAG is? Okay, so PFLAG has been around, I don't even know the year, I should know. It's I was gonna say sometime in the 70s. PFLAG is parents and friends of lesbian gays. So that's a group that we have, it's everywhere, but we have one on Staten Island. I don't know how many people know about it. I found it in 2003 when I was looking for it. And since then, I moderate it. Now,
we used to meet once a month over at the Pride Center on 25 Victory Boulevard. And I don't know if this is good or this is bad, but we would go once a month faithfully. Monday's the first Monday of the month, and we'd always have a lot of people from 2003. As time went on, it began to dwindle a lot, as I think a lot of things dwindle these days. I'm hoping it's dwindling because maybe there isn't as much of a need and children are comfortable telling their parents and friends. But I'm also thinking that sometimes that's not the case, and there are a lot of kids out there, and maybe even older than kids, who don't know what to say to their parents. But we are a safe space for parents as well as their children. But parents sometimes, we say, oh, no big deal. My kid's gay, no problem. When it's somebody else's kid, it does seem to be, oh, no problem, their kid's gay. But sometimes as open as you are and as open as you want to be and you think you are, when it's your child, it's a little harder. And that's okay. And sometimes you need to come and you need to talk to other people who were in that situation, because you maybe need to say, I am just not okay with this. I'm a horrible person. You're not a horrible person. Or you may say, I need to be somewhere where I can cry, where I can see, is it always this easy for you? You look like this was never a problem for you. No, it wasn't. It was not always this easy for me. And that's okay. You don't have to be ashamed of that. We have to love our children unconditionally. We have to support them. We have to understand them. We have to know first and foremost, it is not a choice to be gay. There is nothing wrong with it. You have to embrace it. If you do, you'll find so many things about your own child and open your world to things that you may never have experienced. That's what happened to me. My life is so much for the better for it. But that being said, we're there for you. Now, while we are not there every first Monday of the month, we are on demand. You can look at our flyer, you can email me, you can call. We will meet you there as a group, one-on-one. I meet so many people in a diner. I meet them anywhere they want to meet. If they just want to say, I need to talk to somebody who's going through this. Maybe they only need to meet you once. Maybe they need to meet you 10 times. Maybe they need to cry because it's like, my world is over. I thought my child was going to get married and have children. And yeah, nowadays they can get married and have children. It's not what you thought your life was going to be or what your child's life was going to be. But things aren't always what we think they're going to be. So if you need us, we're there anytime. I mean, Michelle, it seems like she's still going to be around even though she's really not here. But you can reach out to me. I will come to a meeting. I will meet you anywhere. Not only I, all of us. And I really, really appreciate you having us here. Please spread the word. Not everybody knows that we're out there. And I have to think that there are people who need us. And maybe you have kids in the school who say, my parent would really need this. Do you think you could connect my parent with that group? And maybe, we can reach out to somebody. So if there's anything we can ever do for you, thank you so much for having us. Now we have Mary Anderson, who represents another group at the Pride Center that you'll find very helpful also.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary. I am currently at the Pride Center, and I run the support group, which is a spin-off of PFLAG, and it is called Families in Transition. And the main focus of that is people that come out and have transgender loved ones. Anybody have any inkling of what they think transgender actually means? Right. Okay, so I don't know I wasn't here for Lisa, so I'm not sure how much to get into, but the biggest difference that people get confused with transgender and sexual orientation, right? Gender is how you identify, and orientation is who you're attracted to. So you're correct. The transgender is that you feel or identify one gender, and it doesn't match up to the gender you were born with. I'll say this really quickly. The misconception about transgender people is everybody assumes that they are going to undergo some sort of surgery to make them the opposite sex. Being transgender is not defined by surgery. You do not have to have surgery. It's just how you identify, how you feel, how you represent yourself, how you present yourself, right? So If right now, born a woman, if I decided that, not decided because it's not a choice, if I came out as transgender, I could simply cut my hair short, wear baggy clothes, do boy things, and I am transgender because that's how I feel and identify. If I so choose to have some surgeries, I may do that. Okay, so surgery is not a necessity for somebody to be transgender. I get that question a lot because when a child does come out as transgender, that's one of the first things a parent thinks of, and surgery is, a pretty scary thing. So with that said, I'll share a little bit about my personal story, just to give the parents a little bit of perspective on how important it is that we all do our best to embrace kids, whether it's our own kid, somebody else's kid, whatever. That these kids need a rock in their life. They need someone that is a safe place, a safe person, and someone who will embrace them. My child is now, well, I have four children. My youngest is my transgender, so I started off with 2 boys and 2 girls, and now I have 1 daughter and 3 sons. My youngest one is transgender. He is 22. He came out first as lesbian probably somewhere around 8th or 9th grade because he knew that he felt different. But after coming out as lesbian and dating girls, there was still something that he knew still wasn't right. And it took him a long, hard journey to discover that he was transgender. The journey for him included suicide attempts, drug and alcohol abuse, depression, feeling like nobody in the world would ever understand him, accept him, or love him. So nobody wants a child to feel that way, least of all your own child. So that is why I do some of the work and advocacy that I do, because I do not want to see any other child go through that path of self-harm and self-destruction and that lonely, desperate feeling. He was cutting himself. He was burning himself. He hated the look of his body because he just did not feel like he was supposed to be female. He would not look in a mirror. There was such an intensity with it. And that's why I say it's not a choice, right? Because nobody would choose to put themselves in that kind of a path, right? You're not going to choose to look at your body and hate it and want to burn it and cut it, right? So I had a lot of work to do, and that's when I found PFLAG, and I'm grateful because Joanne and I have become very good friends through PFLAG. And coming to the Pride Center, Lisa and I have become friends, so we've really, it's more than just, okay, somebody that I can meet. We really have developed bonds and friendships through the years. As far as family getting on board, when I first found out, like I said, I went to PFLAG, and as much as PFLAG was there and they were offering, at the time, they really had their focus on lesbian, gay, and bisexual. So I found a group in the city in Manhattan that dealt more specifically with transgender. And I modeled the group on Staten Island after that group. So I brought it to Staten Island. I think there's more people than we realize in Staten Island that have transgender kids. Our group started, I think the first meeting we had maybe 7 or 8 people. And we've had as many as 17 or 18 people at meetings. So, I mean, the need for it is definitely there. I'll reiterate, I'm also like Joanne, I've met one-on-one with people. Sometimes people don't feel comfortable in a group setting. So if anybody knows anybody, a lot of times I have a couple of therapists that have me on my referral, can you go talk to this person, or this person needs help, so we do that. As far as being a parent of the transgender, it really was not easy. I know up here I'm talking about it now and I'm very comfortable with it now, but it was a long, hard journey for both of us. But the reality of it was I really had 2 choices. I said I needed to get on board because I needed to either embrace the life of Dominic, that's the name he chose, or plan a funeral for my daughter. And that's where she was headed, with everything that was going on. So I did some research. I got the support I needed. I got the help I needed. I learned as much as I could. I tried to understand as much as I could. And even with all that, I will honestly say that I still don't fully understand it. So when I talk to people, I say, let's not focus on understanding. Let's go a little bit outside of that and try acceptance, right? If you can accept it, I think we'll all be putting our children in a better place, because that's what they want. They want the acceptance. They want somebody to validate them. They want somebody to say, it's okay, you can do this. He is, like I said, he's 22. He has a job. He has a girlfriend. Those are the common questions. What kind of life are they going to have? Who's going to love them? Nobody wants to date somebody that's transgender. Nobody's going to hire them. They're going to be bullied. And the bullying did happen. You know, it's inevitable that if you come out as transgender, and that is something, you know, that we spoke about. We tried to find safe ways and plans, and just try to communicate with each other. So you have to allow your child to be prepared for the bullying, so to speak. We don't want to ever be prepared for bullying, but sometimes it's just going to happen, no matter how hard people around them try. So we always try to make sure they knew who a safe person at school was, who to come out to, who not to come out to. Sometimes kids can't come out to their families because their families, they know or think. Sometimes it's in their own mind that their families won't accept it. And that's okay too, because that's where they're at, right? So the important thing with that is, if there is any conversation, always try to make it a positive conversation, whether you're talking to or about your own child. If you have, you know, a couple of friends at your dinner table or something, and the conversation goes to all the negativity toward it, and then your child feels this, they're going to know that you're not a safe person, right? So everything that we say and do can balance out where and what our child is going through. When they hear that you're able to discuss it in a positive way, they may be a little bit more likely to say, all right, I can do this. I can tell my mom. I can tell my dad. But if they hear all the negativity, then they know not to go home with it, right? So we have to make conscious choices for ourselves in order to help our children, right? We may not realize that that's going to help them, but in the long run, it will. So just always try to, and if there's no conversation, that's okay too. But then again, that leaves them in limbo, right? So if there's any opportunity that you can start a conversation, you know, just kind of check in, or you know, whatever works for you. But just really try to avoid all the negativity of a child's hearing it. As far as Dominic's older siblings, they had a really rough time. They did not want to deal with it. They did not like it. They got mad at me. They blamed me. They told me that it was my fault because you were the one that told him he could wear basketball shorts because he was an athlete. He was a tomboy, so to speak. And so I took all the brunt of that. I was like, okay, don't blame me. That makes you feel better. But, you know, in the year since, like I said, he's now 22. So he came out probably like 14 or 15. So it's been a number of years. And all four of the siblings have their regular sibling moments of not getting along. But for the most part, they're okay with it. We did a legal name change. We did surgery. It's really about where we're at right now. But the main thing is to keep the lines of communication open, keep the lines of communication positive, because even if it's not your kid, it could be somebody else's kid, right? So even if somebody else's kid, like you have friends that are, their kids are always at your house, they may find you to be that safe person, right? So whether it's your kid, somebody else's kid, we all have to kind of look out for each other's kids in this day and age, and help as many of them as we can so they are not on that path of self-destruction, because for a parent, that's a nightmare. When a kid wants to commit suicide and cut themselves and burn themselves, that's, you know, you kind of reach your bottom level with that. So that's my story. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
You have support for siblings?
Yes, siblings can come to the group. That's why we called it families in transition as opposed to parents, because we want to make sure that it can be any friend or relative or sibling. We've had grandmothers come. We've had a couple of aunts come in. So anybody that wants to feel like they need the support is welcome to come to our group. Good question. So we do meet once a month. First Thursday. I'm going to think for a minute. The first Thursday of every month is our usual meeting, and it's at 25 Victory at the Pride Center.
I just got one thing. I'm so sorry. I don't know if you're interested, but this year Tottenville High School had us. Actually, it was Lisa, Mary, myself, and Dominic came, and we spoke at every gym class, actually to the kids,
To the students.
to the students.
Very
And,
powerful.
it was really, really amazing how the kids sat perfectly still and quiet. I will admit Dominic was their most interest, I think, because they
Yes.
were
That
actually.
could relate to
So
him.
if at any time you think that your parents are open to it, your kids are open to it, your staff, we'd be more than happy to meet with the kids like that, and you'd be surprised how many kids reached out afterwards.
There is a program for that runs through all the New York City schools. It's called the Safe Schools Program. It's centered in Manhattan, and it's been a little bit slow with getting Staten Island schools to have us come in as speakers and presenters. We've met a little bit of resistance. All the other schools I've spoken at, schools in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Queens, and I kept fighting for them to bring us into the Staten Island schools. I said, we're all part of the same city, so if it's a DOE program, let's get it rolling. So slowly but surely, they're opening up and willing to have us come in. Some of it, they were met with a little bit of resistance with some principals, and there was some, whatever the reason was. So we're now trying to, because I think I think when Dominic speaks, like I said, the kids kind of relate to him. He's 22, he's young, he recently had this high school experience. And I think it's important because it puts a name and a face to somebody that is successful, right? It's not, oh, it's just some trans kid, right? They can see that there is hope, or there is light at the end of the tunnel, that they can have, for lack of a better word, a normal life. I don't like that word, but so thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you, ladies. Just a few dates this weekend. We are very busy starting tomorrow. Our spring musical Rent is on tomorrow night, Friday night, and then on Saturday we have Comic-Con. So now I'd like to turn the floor, Deirdre DeAngelis couldn't be here tonight, she apologizes, but I'd like to turn it over to Debbie Cunningham.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Deborah Cunningham, Assistant Principal of Instructional Support and ESL, stepping in for Ms. DeAngelis tonight. She does apologize for not being here, but she has an event at her son's school tonight, so she is sorry she's not here. She wants me to introduce, so she wrote me some talking points, and everyone seems to take the talking points, so I'm going to repeat some of it. So you all met Allison Bennett at the beginning of the PTA meeting. And I would just like to turn it over to her for a couple of minutes so you can get to know her and talk about herself. Well,
thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm the new parent coordinator. Just to give you a little background, I'm born and bred on Staten Island. I'm a mom of two. I have come from a human resource background. I worked in Willow Street for many, many years. Always felt there was still something missing because I really liked working in my community, which I had done many years ago with the underserved population. Coming back here, I feel like I'm working with communities, friends, family, and that's what I was looking for. And I look forward to working with everybody. I'm available. Call me, and we'll get this going, work together. We're going to make this a bigger community for everybody, and I'm excited to be here. I also just wanted to give some pointers in regards to rent. We're selling tickets tonight. Comic-Con is this weekend. I'm taking her stuff. That's why I read her paper first. And everybody knows that you can talk about testing and stuff that's coming up and all that fun stuff. I don't want to take any more of Deborah's time. So, thank you, everybody. And I'm very
so nobody mentioned the handicapper, so I got that. After a long couple of months, the handicapped accessible ramp is complete and open for business. The work on the culinary room and athletic field is still underway, and a new carpet will be installed in the auditorium beginning this Monday, May 21st. So those are all good things. We just received word 2 days ago that the DOT is putting a light right here on New York Lane near our digital sign, which is awesome. So starting September, we're going to get the word out. Ms. DeAngelis will be making phone calls and phone blasts and emails for all the parents and the kids to please just cross at that light. Instead of at the, not where the light is, where there'll be a crosswalk and a light. So that is very awesome. And that will happen very soon. In September, we'll get it underway. We hope that you will attend Rent. It's tomorrow night and Friday night, and Barbie Calicardo's over there selling tickets, so please, and they'll be selling them tomorrow as well, and Friday. It's wonderful. I mean, I've heard the kids, performing and practicing. It looks great. Saturday, Comic-Con. It's from 12 to 5, and I believe it's in the cafeteria. And that's also a huge event at New York. I think it's like the third year, right? And it's a huge success. So lastly, Ms. Angeles wants me to remind you and all of our viewers that there are 11 instructional days of classes left before, isn't that crazy? 11 instructional days before Regents and finals. The last day of classes is June 1st. We need all students, so please, all students need to be in class. They need to be on time. They need to be completing their assignments, handing in any work that they owe, and studying for exams. We have tutoring almost every day of the week on Saturdays, after school on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, SLC tutoring. We strongly urge students to take advantage of the last few PM and Saturday tutoring, Tuesday afternoon sessions. And we want obviously to be successful and, on their first go around with their Regents. And just a reminder to parents of our senior class, all students attending the prom must be in attendance on Friday, May 25th for the official school attendance. You must be marked present in school to attend the prom that evening. This goes for underclassmen that are attending as a date as well. So for all those who are attending, please, they have to be here. They won't be allowed to prom. And also the attendance, Ms. Angeles really wants me to stress, I know it looks like the nice weather should be coming soon, but with the 11 school days, maybe we could all get the word out. People need to really be on time, come to school. Our attendance was real low Friday, and there were no trips, and we don't know, and it was nice out, and we don't know why we had so many absences, and, there's just the final push. Okay, so if you can get the word out with us, and that's it. Any questions? Oh. Any questions? Does she take questions?
Yes, she does.
Okay, does anyone have a question for me via Ms. DeAngelis? No? Thank you.
Okay. We will now adjourn, but before we do, I'd also like to make mention that Julie Larson and Laura Timoney are graduating out as well. And we're all gonna miss everybody. But I would like to thank them for all the work. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? And a second, Lillian. Okay, great. Please come shop, eat, mingle for a bit, and thank you all so much. Have a wonderful summer, and if you can come to our installation, Anna, we'd love to have you. Thank you.